Stand on this ancient shore nearly 3,000 years ago, and you would see the greatest trading power the ancient world had ever built here. Long before Rome ever ruled the entire Mediterranean,
at its height,
another city commanded its waters, its markets, and its endless golden coastline first. That city was Carthage, born from Phoenician sailors who bravely crossed the open sea, searching for a brand new home upon distant African shores. Within 2 centuries, it grew into an empire so wealthy and so powerful that Rome itself trembled at the mention of its formidable name alone. Legend says Queen Dido founded Carthage after fleeing her own brother's cruel betrayal, landing on a coastline rich with such untold promise. She is said to have bargained for land using an ox hide, cleverly cutting it into thin strips of thread to encircle an entire rocky hilltop. From that single hilltop, a small settlement rose, built by traders who understood the sea far better than any other nation on earth then. Within a single generation, Carthage stretched outward across the coast, its harbor filling with countless ships bound for Spain and Sicily. The city's founders were merchants first, and warriors only second, and this simple truth would shape everything that later followed after them. By the 6th century before Christ, Carthage was no longer a colony, but a true capital commanding coastlines across 2 continents by now. Picture the harbor at dawn, hundreds of merchant vessels crowding the water, their hulls heavy with silver, grain, spices, and precious dye. Carthage controlled the trade routes of the entire ancient world, moving tin from distant Britain and gold from the deserts of Africa daily. Its famous purple dye, extracted drop by tiny drop from thousands of crushed sea snails, was worth far more than silver or even gold itself. Merchants from every distant corner of the Mediterranean sailed here, drawn by a marketplace that never seemed to sleep or ever slow down at all. The wealth of Carthage built towering temples, grand palaces, and a naval fleet so advanced that no rival power could truly ever match it. Yet behind every single ship and every coin lay a quiet, growing rivalry, with a city slowly rising just across the water in Italy, nearby them. Walk through the streets of ancient Carthage and the air fills with spices, salted fish, and the thick smoke of endless cooking fires burning. Narrow, winding alleys stretch between tall, multi-story homes, their rooftops crowded with families escaping the thick summer heat outside. In the busy central marketplace, merchants loudly shout their prices in Punic, while children weave through crowds chasing dogs and each other. The wealthy lived near the harbor, inside brightly painted villas, while dock workers and sailors crowded far tighter homes further inland instead. Religious life centered on temples devoted to Baal and Tanit, where citizens offered prayers and gifts before every voyage out to open sea. Beneath this bustling daily rhythm, Carthage was quietly building the largest and most feared navy anywhere across the ancient world then. As Carthage grew richer, Rome grew ever more wary, and 2 great powers found themselves circling the very same shrinking Mediterranean Sea. The first spark came over the island of Sicily, an island both empires desperately wanted, and neither one was willing to release it easily. What followed soon became known as the Punic Wars, a century-long struggle that would ultimately decide the fate of the entire ancient world. From this brutal conflict rose Hannibal Barca, a general so brilliant that his name still echoes through military history to this very day. He marched an entire army, and famously his war elephants, directly across the towering Alps to strike sudden fear into the very heart of Italy. For years, Hannibal humiliated Roman armies on their own soil, yet Carthage's leaders hesitated to send him the support he desperately needed most. The First Punic War was fought largely at sea, where Rome, once only a land power, quickly learned to build and command a fleet of its own. Carthage lost the entire island of Sicily, its very first great colony, and with it a wound to pride that would never fully heal or fade away. The Second Punic War brought Hannibal's legendary invasion, yet even his brilliance could not conquer Rome's stubborn and endless resolve. Rome struck back by invading Africa itself, forcing Hannibal to abandon Italy entirely and rush home again to desperately defend his own city. At the decisive Battle of Zama, Carthage's greatest general finally met his defeat, and an entire empire's fate was sealed forever after that. Carthage survived that terrible war, stripped of its fleet and its armies, but its fragile independence now hung by only the thinnest of threads. Even weakened, Carthage rebuilt its wealth through trade alone, and this quiet recovery deeply terrified its old rival across the sea in Rome. The senator Cato the Elder famously ended every single speech with the same chilling words, demanding that Carthage must finally be destroyed. Rome searched endlessly for any excuse, any small provocation that would justify erasing its ancient rival once and for all time completely. When Carthage defended itself against a neighboring kingdom without Roman permission, Rome quickly declared this a serious act of treason. It was a pretext, a carefully manufactured grievance, but it gave Rome the exact justification it had wanted for nearly half a century already. In 149 years before Christ, Roman legions finally sailed for Africa, and Carthage's very final chapter had now begun. The city that once proudly ruled the seas now found itself completely surrounded, its harbor blockaded, and its people trapped inside the walls. Carthage refused to surrender, and its citizens worked day and night, forging desperate weapons from melted household bronze and iron pots. Women reportedly cut off their own long hair to weave into bowstrings, arming a doomed city with nothing left to lose but its stubborn pride. For 3 brutal years, the long siege dragged on, slowly starving the entire population, while Roman forces steadily tightened their grip. When the walls finally fell, Roman soldiers fought bitterly street by street through burning homes and slowly collapsing ancient stone towers. The general Scipio Aemilianus reportedly wept, watching the great city burn, knowing full well that even mighty empires always eventually fall. Carthage burned for 17 straight days, its temples, libraries, and grand palaces all reduced to nothing but ash and smoke on the coast. Rome enslaved the survivors and salted the earth, determined that nothing would ever grow again from this once proud place for many centuries. And yet centuries later, Rome itself quietly rebuilt Carthage, a strange tribute to the very city it once fought so hard to erase forever. Today, its scattered ruins still whisper of purple dye, war elephants, and a queen who once traded an ox hide for an entire empire's birth here. History never truly disappears. It only waits quietly beneath the sand for anyone willing to look a little closer and finally remember it. If this journey through a lost ancient empire moved you today, subscribe for more and tell us in the comments which lost city we explore next.